You may have noticed over the last few days that we've been reading in our first readings from the Acts of the Apostles, and right throughout the Easter season, on our weekdays and even at Sunday Masses, we'll be hearing from the Acts of the Apostles as our first reading. And our Gospels on weekdays right throughout the Easter season also are from John's Gospel. Today we begin John chapter 6. We'll be reading it tomorrow and a few days next week as well, which is the great teaching of Jesus, sometimes referred to as the discourse on the Eucharist. And here we begin with the feeding of the 5,000. There's very many Eucharistic tones that come from this, but there's many elements that can speak to us in other ways as well. Here we have Jesus out there preaching, we're told, just before the feast of the Passover. So the community there were already sort of in an atmosphere to be nourished by God. They understood that the Passover was an opportunity to remember what happened in Egypt, as we've remembered at Easter. The breaking of the bread that happened there, the sacrifice of the lamb, the sharing of the lamb, the nourishment and food for the journey towards freedom. And here we have Jesus preaching, and then he provides a meal. And like Moses, who provided a meal of bread and the lamb, which then nourished the people to freedom, Jesus sits the people down into small communities, a bit like what happened in Egypt at that first Passover. He gets them to sit in the grass into small communities. And then he breaks the bread, he breaks the fish, and there's this great multiplication. Interestingly, we're told, Jesus says at the end, pick up the pieces left over so that nothing gets wasted. Our world today has become so used to waste. We throw things out, we dispose of things. I've sometimes been at very large gatherings, concerts, but also sometimes church gatherings like World Youth Day. And you look at what happens at these venues like Randwick and other places immediately after you've had 500,000 people there, and there is so much waste. It's even at a Catholic event, and you see that at other things as well. We seem to just dispose of things so readily. Jesus says, no, nothing's to be wasted. We're here to walk lightly on this place. We're here to treasure the gifts that we have, and so we don't throw things away. We don't throw things, especially things that have been set aside for the work of God. We don't just dispose of them. Here we have Jesus reminding, even after we've fed the 5,000, anything left over, gather it up. It's still to be used again. And we do this within Mass as well. We consecrate enough hosts for the Mass, but we don't throw out what's left over. What's left over is then reserved and preserved in our tabernacle for a future use. For the future use to feed the people, but also for the worship of God as well. Nothing gets wasted. I think that's a great thing to think about. God, Jesus Christ, doesn't want us to waste anything. Not to waste our time, not to waste our resources, not to waste the gifts that we've been given for the building up of Christ's body. Today and over the next few days, as we read this from John chapter 6, let us really delve into a deeper faith and belief in the Eucharist. There's lots that, from the very young to the very old, we can always have a deeper appreciation and a love for Christ's presence in the Eucharist. So let us today, maybe just one little point, nothing gets wasted. What does this mean for us in the Eucharist? What does this mean for us in our daily life? What does this mean for our life in the world? Nothing gets wasted. Beautiful words of Jesus.